Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Thursday the 10th of March 2022 and we're looking at gold and silver's extraordinary rise in the past few days, especially yesterday morning, and then what caused such a significant rise to come tumbling back towards the end of the day. And then for us to see some recovery today while equities have begun falling back again. So without further delay, let's take a look. Well, hasn't the last 2 days been most exciting for gold and silver? No sooner had we published the video, as you can see on the screen here, entitled Gold 2070, that's $2,070, and silver 2696, where we saw gold rocket, and silver too, to some recent unprecedented highs. And one wonders, where is it going next? Immediately after that video, a newspaper Bild interviewed the Ukrainian president, who acknowledged that he was open to a compromise to end the war between Russia and the Ukraine. Now, in this interview, President Zelensky said, and I quote, "The question here is not what I can give. In every negotiation, my goal is to end the war with Russia, and I'm also ready to take certain steps. Compromises can be made, but they must not be a betrayal of my country. And the other side must also be willing to make compromises. That's why they're called compromises. This is the only way we can get out of this situation. We can't talk about the details yet." And frankly, it was this interview that caused many markets to pivot from bullish to bearish. And we saw that in gold, the dollar, and crude oil. However, equity markets went from bearish to bullish. And if we take a quick look at gold, you can see exactly what I mean here. You see where gold here went all the way up 2070, trying to test the all-time high of 2088. And shortly after, we had those comments, and down came the price, crashing to as low, in fact, lower than the actual Friday previous close. It has recovered again since today, and we'll have a look at that in a second. The silver price did exactly the same thing. You can see where it peaked here. It was at 26.97 and then fell back again, but has recovered somewhat today. In fact, if we look at today's figure, we can see that silver at the moment is up 49 cents and is at 25.94. The gold price, and I have to refresh the page, is below $2,000, but literally only just, and is $19.98, and it's up $14. Pleased to say that oil prices have fallen back considerably. We were looking at 125, 127, Brent and WTI crude. It's now down to 109 and 106. The dollar index, which did go up to 99, then fell back actually into the late 96s, is now back up again at 98.5. And we'll explain why in just a moment. Looking at equities, yesterday they rebounded, as you can see in Asia Pacific overnight, but today they've fallen back, and we'll cover that too. The big word today is inflation, and you can see the American market is down between 1 and 2%. Gold at the current level is supportive at around 1975, that's $1,975, with further support at 1950, and then technical support at 1930, where the 20 EMA rests. Obviously, it's hitting some resistance at 2000, 2020, 2050, 2075, and then the all-time high of 2088. Silver, meanwhile, has some support, reasonable support at 25.50, although if it were to sink much below that, it's not totally impossible to rule out a dip ultimately to $24, but not this week. And peaking, $27 is up there, but quite frankly, we don't see that happening this week either. Why, you ask? Well, what we've been warning about all week, and that is this. The Consumer Price Index came out today in the United States, and it's come out at 0.8% for February, against 0.7 expectations and 0.6 in January. Core CPI is as envisaged, but CPI year over year is higher at 7.9%, and there was a holy fuss last month when it came out at 7.5. Not good figures or what we want to see. Already in the first 2 weeks of March, you could argue very strongly that the figure's even higher than this. Initial jobless claims came in slightly higher than expected, but the CPI were the critical figures for this week. So there is no doubt now in our mind, no doubt whatsoever, that next week, Wednesday to be precise, the FOMC will be raising interest rates by 0.25%. This is what's caused our equity markets really to start to tumble again. One had hoped to see them rise back of yesterday a little further, just to give that confidence in the marketplace, but it was not meant to be. Cryptocurrency markets also took a hit, and they're down 5% or 5.6%, with Bitcoin now back down from 42,000 to 39,000. Gold and silver going in the next day or so? Well, it's now the interrelationship between certain interest rate rises next week and the conflict not being over in Ukraine this week, or very likely not happening next week either. And it's this interplay that is going to dictate prices. There was a degree of profit taking yesterday as well, but really you have to bear in mind, and this is crucial, these prices at the moment are primarily dictated by the paper markets. And what's interesting is that bullion by post, this is whom we're taking this chart off, actually have on the top, if you hear high demand, due to current high demand, we aim to dispatch orders within 1 to 4 working days. Suggesting, of course, that as the gold price and silver price have risen, then so too has the physical demand for those products, which, in this current environment, we should not be surprised about. So, where do we go? Well, we're keeping to our weekly forecast. We announced it last week, what we envisaged would happen this week. We believe within either the normal trading range the prices will close, or maybe slightly on the outlier range for silver. We don't see anything specifically happening tomorrow, unless there is, of course, some major announcement. But gold and silver are going to feel this pressure because now of imminent rate rises. Of course, we're all fully aware that even if there was a 0.25% rise or even 0.5% rise, which Jerome Powell seemed to rule out when he gave testimony to Congress, it's still not going to affect real rates because the inflation rate compared to the interest rate is so far removed. Real rates are still technically negative. That's it for now. Don't wish to say any more. By all means, listen to the video we produced yesterday. We said there could be another attempt at a recent high. It didn't happen because, and we were asked in the comments, we do read the comments, please tell us why gold and silver prices fell. It was essentially this interview by Zelensky, and a degree, we would argue, of profit-taking, and people now saying, okay, we also have to bear in mind what's going to happen to interest rates. And it's further backed up, frankly, by the dollar index rising again above 98. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you found this useful. please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, press the bell sign. Till our next video. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.